Hey guys, Cam 15 back out with another video for you guys, and we are here for some more Chicago Bears news. Listen, I'm just elated. I'm happy. We did it. They got the guy. They got Ben Johnson. Now here's where the real work needs to be done. Now it's all
Confirm.
Ryan Poles.
Confirm. Confirm.
He's finalizing a
Are
deal.
we just talking about
Adam
he is
Schefter has come out
finalizing
and
the
he's
deal to become the
finalizing a
next head
deal.
coach?
He's
Okay.
finalizing the head
All
coach
right.
to be the Bears. So, one,
Well, we did say it, man. If this is your guy,
I
yeah.
can finally put the jersey back on now. Now we're back up again. I'm already happy. We're already 1-0 in 2025.
Okay.
All the other division teams, all
Okay.
0-1, first round exits. I'm good with this. I'm happy with this decision. I wanted Ben Johnson since really dating back after the 2023 season. And this is just me. I've always had this feeling that Ben Johnson wanted to come to Chicago. He wanted to come to Chicago realistically after the 2023 season. He was supposed to be the head coach last year. But you want to know what the problem was? Eberflus. They decided to bring Eberflus back. I always had this feeling Ben
That
Johnson
sounds
wants to.
like honestly, it sounds like it was a management problem, not necessarily an Eberflus problem. They wouldn't fire him last year. They wouldn't do it. Now, whether it was because of money or give me another year or all this other kind of stuff, him pleading to George, we don't know. That's all speculation at this point. And plus, it's old news. He's gone. Now we got Ben Johnson, and I'm actually looking forward to it, man. Ryan Poles had his guy. And he put a lot of stuff out in the media to throw people off as far as where he was going.
Yeah.
But his guy from the start, and usually that's how it works. If this is
It
your
seems,
guy, you go get your guy.
and it seems like all this one. I can't wait to go after this video to go on Twitter, see all these Raider fans that were like, "Oh, we getting Ben Johnson, we getting Ben Johnson." Yeah, they're probably all like crying now. Again, this is my opinion, and this is what a lot of Bear fans, a lot of Bears media people said about the Raiders. Why would he choose the Raiders, even if Tom Brady has some sort of influence? You're telling me you would want to go into a division, the AFC West, because right now we can make the argument, even though the NFC North is good, after what we saw these past 2 weekends, maybe it's not that good. Maybe the Bears aren't so far away as we keep saying. There's got to make some improvements still, but you look at the AFC West. You already have the Chiefs who are in the AFC Championship game, potentially trying to go 3-peat.
Again.
You have the freaking Chargers with Jim Harbaugh and and then Justin Herbert. I also mentioned with the Chiefs, they got Andy Reid, who probably ain't retiring anytime soon. I think he got a good 5 more years left. They got Patrick Mahomes, obviously, who's the best quarterback in the league right now. And then you got Sean Payton in Denver with Bo Nix, who's building that. While the Raiders, they're the bottom barrel of the division. They got no quarterback in place right now. They're the sixth pick in the draft, so they're not going to get any of these top picks or top quarterbacks coming out of the draft. And then their defense is average at best. Their offense is okay, but outside of Brock Bowers, who's on the outside as a weapon? Jacoby Myers? Who the running back?
Uh, for me, for me, Ben Johnson has been with the Lions a good little bit right now. What division does Ben Johnson know
Best.
better than any other division in the NFL?
The Bears.
He knows the NFL North. He knows the Detroit Lions because he worked with them. He knows the Minnesota Vikings because you play them twice a year. He knows the Chicago Bears because they play them twice a year.
He knows the Green
Why?
Bay Packers.
Why? I'm sorry.
He knows the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers too play them twice a year. The Bears plays them twice a year. He knows that division better than any other division in the NFL. Why would he? That's another reason why he would choose the Bears. The other reason is Caleb Williams. The
Yeah.
guy needs grooming, and he probably has already had a couple of conversations with him, obviously off book.
Yeah.
that just simple said, dude, man, I can, hey, dude, come to Chicago. I'm pretty sure he was pumping the city up and things. And I'm speaking of Caleb Williams. So uh, for me, the Raiders were never an option. Never. They're one of the worst franchises in football. They don't have a quarterback. About the only thing appealing to them is their location in Las Vegas, that stadium, and yes, the Tom Brady name that's attached to management. That is it. They don't have a quarterback. They don't really have an offense. They don't have an offense other than Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, they were not even an option. The only option I thought would have been the Jacksonville
Jacksonville
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
That's it. That's it. That's the only other option. You got two young quarterbacks. We've said this on prior videos as well, too. For me, it was two options. You said it was two options. Jacksonville, Chicago.
Yeah.
This guy, who's an offensive genius, or a lot of people are saying he's an offensive genius, and from what we've seen, although we really didn't see much of that in that game when they lost to the Commanders, but I digress. We'll move on. He's with the Chicago Bears, or coming to the Chicago Bears. But this guy can dial up some plays,
Yeah.
and the
Do away with the
the
cute stuff though. I didn't like
yeah
the cute
yeah
stuff.
yeah 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 yeah. I agree. Let's sometimes
I
that
don't
cute
want to
stuff.
see Darnell Wright going out for passes or being a guy throwing a pass for a touchdown. I don't
Correct.
want that crap.
Like me personally, I think a really bad call was that bootleg with Jamison Williams, in which
He
he
must have
took,
stole that from Thomas Brown when they played the Packers.
man, in which he. I'm sorry for that particular call, and I know we're getting off subject a little bit. For that particular call, you would have had to have a lot of trust in Jamison Williams. And yes, he went to Alabama. I get all that, but he has made some questionable decisions as a player the past few weeks. So I mean, I'm curious as to why he made that particular call. Um, but you know, the thing is about offensive coordinators, we've discussed this as well too. If he comes in basically thinking that, you know, he's the smartest guy in the room, then most times he's gonna fail,
Yeah.
in my opinion. What I like about Andy Reid is that Andy Reid is, and I mean, granted, we all know Andy Reid is the smartest guy in the room. Don't get me wrong, but he don't have to boast it. He don't. He lets Spagnuolo run that defense, and he'll tell him what we're doing with the offense. And dude, this is what, for me, as long as you help this offense out defensively, our offense will help your defense out. It's that nice little dichotomy that those two have. So now Ben Johnson's got to find the same thing with his staff. He's got to find a strong defensive coordinator that he can use, that he can match up, that he can blend with his offense. Obviously,
So
he's got.
speaking of
Yeah.
that, several reports are coming out saying that he's looking to target potentially Dennis Allen to be his defensive coordinator.
Not a bad choice. I mean, it's not a bad choice. A lot of coordinators who become head coaches,
They're just better coordinators.
they just better coordinators. And Dennis Allen, is one of those cats that when he's a defensive coordinator, hey,
Pretty
he can
good.
he's pretty good. Similar to, like, let's just say Steve Spagnuolo. And a lot of people was like, well, why isn't Steve Spagnuolo getting head coaching opportunities? Maybe dude don't want one.
And who knows, with Dennis Allen, he could possibly be, if the Bears are successful, he could possibly be a lifetime defensive coordinator for the Bears because he's already had two head coaching stops, the Raiders and then the interim stuff with the Saints, and they didn't
Yeah,
particularly go well.
yeah. So I mean, and then I mean, I'm assuming, is he going to get an offensive coordinator, or is he just going to run the offense? Now,
He said in a press conference like weeks ago saying that, yeah, if he were to take a head coaching job, he'd still be the guy calling the plays. But who I think could potentially be his offensive coordinator, I can see it to where maybe he's like, hey buddy, I know you're the offensive line coach in Detroit. You want to come be the offensive coordinator?
could be,
Because you
could
can't
be.
really hire, because league mandates you have to give any position coaches or any coaches on a staff, you can't give them the same higher.
Right. It has
It's
to
got
be
to
a
be an
promotion.
upgrade from what they
Yeah.
originally were. So I
It
could see
basically has to be
him.
a promotion. So I get that as well too. So and then we have other coaching positions. I mean, basically the Bears are basically rebuilding their entire coaching
Coaching
staff.
staff. Yeah.
I
After this,
mean, that's
I don't see any of Eberflus's staff sticking around. They're all going to be purged.
which is good for me.
Yeah.
Which is good for me. So I mean, it's gonna be a long road. But at the same time though, Poles made the move to bring in the guy that the majority of the fans
Wanted.
wanted, if not all the fans. Everyone has been singing the praises of Ben Johnson for the last what month or so,
Yeah.
as it relates to being the head coach of the Chicago Bears. So it's just a matter of time. I think we'll probably wind up seeing the the call a little bit later on, confirming that he's signing a deal. More likely to probably be a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
As far as money and signing bonus
I
and
think
all of
they
that
just
kind of
handed
stuff,
him the blank check.
I can care less if they're
Yeah.
finalizing a deal. Whatever Poles did, thank you, brother. We appreciate it. So now all we got to do now is get to work and build this coaching staff because these players and these fans, I mean, man, they truly deserve it. They deserve a guy at the top that can actually get these guys pointed in the right direction.
Yeah. Jordan Schultz, another, in the know reporter in the NFL, he said, from my understanding, as I mentioned last week, there was never a point when the Raiders were the front runners for Ben Johnson, per sources. They had an interview that went really well, but Chicago was the early favorite in this process, and they finalized it today. Plain and
Yeah, the
simple.
Raiders for me, again, why would anyone other than Raiders fans believe that this guy was going to come to that franchise without a quarterback,
yeah.
and it's the same thing. You got to build your staff. The
Yeah, and then on
only
top of it,
thing
they
that's
got to still
appealing,
they still had to hire the GM, and they thought, oh well, Ben Johnson can come in and bring his own guy. That don't mean nothing.
that don't mean nothing at all. And you haven't yet, and that's a great point as well too. Why are you hiring a head coach before the GM?
Yeah,
It just makes no sense.
and you already had a good enough GM in Tom Telesco, but you kicked into the curb because you thought, oh, let's do the whole pair to the head coach. We'll hire you, but you can pick who you want with your cup
As
of litter for the
GM,
GM.
you can pick your own boss.
And then,
Okay, all right.
after the thing, they interviewed, I think, Newman, who's a part of, I forgot, I think his name was Ryan Newman. He's a part of the Commanders front office, but he had ties, or he was in Detroit for a very long time. And people thought, oh, this must be because they're setting up to go get Ben Johnson. That don't mean nothing.
They didn't hire anybody, so that's the
They
point.
haven't even hired the
And the
GM.
Bears
If they had
and the
hired,
Bears acted quickly. I
yeah,
will say this: the Bears acted quickly. The Lions lost, and I'm pretty sure Ryan Poles' first call was Ben Johnson. Dude, here we go.
well,
Here's a check, and ain't no not. I understand.
yeah,
I'm just saying, if this was me, my first call would have been Ben Johnson. Hey, dog, I'm gonna email you something real quick. What is it, man? Just check your email in a little bit. It's just a blank check. Absolutely.
yeah.
Write your amount
And
in, and we got you.
yeah, to go
Just-
even further than that, they at that time they still weren't Rooney Rule compliant. And I already made a video about it. I think I uploaded yesterday. They came in to
yeah.
interview. They brought in Eddie George, basically to fulfill the Rooney Rule. That's what it was. They brought him into Hallis Hall to interview him just for the Rooney Rule.
Who actually believed that anyone was actually thinking that Eddie George was a serious candidate? Not me, and I'm overseas.
Yeah,
There was no way I'm thinking Eddie George was a candidate. What has he done? What, 500 football? Now I get it, and I hate it. I hate to say this, but it was a token interview
yeah, it was to fulfill
just
the
to
Rooney Rule.
supplement the Rooney Rule. Just to supplement the Rooney Rule. Nothing
Yeah,
more, nothing less. Thomas Brown, Eddie George.
no, the other Rooney
uh,
Rule was Ron Rivera.
Ron Rivera. I'm just like, just
Yeah,
come
I saw
on,
that
man.
coming a mile away.
Even Eddie George knew.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
When I saw
Yeah. Okay.
that, when I saw Jay Glazer talk about the Bears are gonna bring in Eddie George Maneri, I'm like, the only thing I can hope for is that's an in-person interview to fulfill the requirement. But the moment the Lions lost, the Bears got on, they're like, let's fulfill this ring rule obligation. Let's get this
Yep.
dude set done. And I said it. I said it on the video. I said the moment you interview Eddie George and you're done with him, you show him the door. You basically call up Ben Johnson and say, hey, we got an interview lined up for you. You have the plane
Yep.
fly in. You basically
Yep.
tell him, hey, look, this ain't gonna even be an interview. Here's the contract.
Yep.
You can have your agent look it over, see if there's anything contractually that we need to fix or make adjustments in. You go over here. We have a nice like hotel suite for you to stay in. If you want to bring your family, more than welcome to stay here for the night. And then tomorrow we can
Yep.
make it all official. But it looks
Yep.
like it's gonna be official today on MLK Day. I'm happy. And
And the thing
honestly,
of and the thing about this as well too, I just want to say this as well. They made sure that Eddie George interview was basically before that Commanders Lions game, so that timeline is set. So if the Commanders won, which they did,
yep,
they can immediately just started placing the blocks in the right place to bring this guy in and hire him in immediately.
yeah,
Which again, according to reports coming out of Chicago, this is what's about to happen.
yeah. So look, I'll take it.
Yep.
Obviously, what is the future landscaping of the Bears? Where do they go now? Um, it's plain and simple. If I'm Ben Johnson, I should know, especially if I played you guys multiple times, you know, for like 2, 3 years. I know your number one weakness. It's the trenches. And I would be harping down on Ryan Poles. I'd be like, look, man, you want to lose your job? We better improve these trenches because my offense will not
Yep.
work if our trenches are not
Yep.
working. I like Darnell Wright, but all them other suckers, that's not gonna cut it. And there's a lot,
It's
and
one
listen,
thing that we have said time and time
yep,
again, Cameron. Run the ball, stop the run. Quarterback don't make any mistakes. That's one of the things that Detroit has done well over the last few years.
except on Saturday.
Well, that
They
third
ran the
one.
ball good. They couldn't
They ran
stop
the
the
ball
run,
good.
and
They
they turned
couldn't
their
stop
ball
it,
over.
and the quarterback turned the ball over. So I mean, yeah, they played losing football against the Commanders. But what got them up to that point was exactly following those three rules and follow them to a T. Ben Johnson seems to believe that. So I can tell you, yes, winning football happens in the trenches at the line of scrimmage. Build that offensive line. Get Build that offensive line, build that defensive line, because we need some guys in the middle of that defense that can actually beat their matchups. And it's not happening on the offensive line. You got Darnell Wright that's so worried about the
The
right
right
guard.
guard,
He's so worried about the right guard. He
he
over
can't do
here,
his job properly.
he can't do his job.
And
I'm
then,
like, dude,
and also too, I want to make this whole mention because I saw this all day yesterday. Jalen Carter to the. It's not only the Chicago media. Some fans were doing it too. The whole Jalen. We should have drafted Jalen Carter. Are we ignoring the fact that we got Darnell Wright as a right tackle who's actually been pretty good? That's under the tutelage of Chris Morgan as the offensive line. Please, I'd rather go offensive line more than defensive line right now. And these are the
and
same
we've
people
said this
that
we've
keep them.
said this before too. The most important person on an NFL football team is that head coach,
Yep,
because everything beneath him will either succeed or fail based on what he does.
yep.
Matt Eberflus brought in his cronies from Indianapolis. He brought in piss poor coaches from various places, and it didn't work.
Yep.
It didn't work. So now it's a matter of building that coaching staff around Ben Johnson. So now Ben Johnson is that top guy.
Yep.
He's that
And
top
guess
guy. So
what?
now,
Ryan Poles, if
yeah,
you're going to be in this interview process of other coaches on the staff, I hope Ben Johnson tells him, hey, brother, we're not going to do what you did with Shane Waldron last year and just listen to this guy preach the gospel to you, and you're going to fall in love with this guy. We're going to hear
yeah.
everybody out. And when we
Yeah,
get
oh, I agree.
everybody out,
I agree, because
that's
keep in mind now, here it is, February, March, and a good part of April. You got just that much time. And then you even have time after that now to build your coaching staff before that, before we actually make the selection for what we believe will be the 10th pick. Ben Johnson is now the coach. It is up to him to build that staff.
yep.
And what I like most about it is that we took something from
Lions.
the Lions, and I hope he takes something from the Packers, and I hope he takes something from the Vikings. Look at them coaching staffs and see who you can poach from it immediately. Luke Buckets, find a position for him as, let's just say,
Yeah,
offensive coordinator.
he would have to be offensive coordinator or assistant
I,
head
no, I
coach.
agree. We talked about that. Get something. Poach these coaches within your division. Yeah, you might know somebody outside the division. That's cool too. And you have a lot of faith and confidence in them. Yeah, that's fine too. But in order to win the division, you got to be able to make the teams within the division weaker. And the best way you make the teams in the division weaker, poach their poach their best coaches, and I hope he starts there.
Hold on a quick second, guys. All right, yeah, but what else? What else can I talk about? We already talked about the staff. We already talked about the issues. Obviously, I think the number one thing is how is his coaching style going to be when it comes to not just the offense side of the ball, but now it's realistically the whole team picture. And the number one thing we had an issue with Eberflus is this. He was the number one guy that just not only didn't hold certain players accountable on the team, he didn't start with himself and he didn't hold himself accountable. If Ben Johnson comes in here and I don't really care what he says in that introduction press conference whenever it happens, because that's hearsay, whatever. I
Right,
want to see what you do. You make a big mess up in a decision, you make a critical game blunder, and it costs us the game. I need him to
right.
come to the podium straight up and say, it's not on any of these players. It's not on the defense. It's not on Caleb. It's not on this. It's on me. And
It's
it
on
starts
me.
with me.
Similar to
Because,
what Dan Campbell did after their loss to the Commanders, he owned up to not calling that timeout, to keep that penalty from that 12 man on the field penalty from being called. And I get the guy's emotion over that. I get it. He's really passionate about his team. I said, but the thing about offensive coordinators becoming head coaches, the one that just drives me nuts, is how egomaniacal and they can be
yep,
when they make their decisions. So hopefully Ben Johnson isn't that guy,
yeah.
and
Look,
hopefully,
we've
yeah,
seen it. If we look within our division, we've seen it. I've seen it multiple times with Kevin O'Connell and Matt LaFleur. They know, like for example, when we beat the Packers in Week 18, one of the first things Matt LaFleur said, "Yeah, we weren't in the right defense right then and there. I should have called a time. I should have had these guys better prepared. That's on me as the head
correct,
coach for not making
correct,
sure that I told my defensive coordinator, are
correct,
you sure this is the right defense we got on the field right now?"
correct. Correct. And Kevin O'Connell, he's done it as well too.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, again, please, just if you make a mistake, fine. But the part about accountability is you take it within yourself.
Yep.
You do it yourself. You have it within yourself. Everything beneath you will do it that way as well. So just I'm glad we got our guy.
Yeah.
I'm glad Pose actually what he was doing actually worked out. I'm glad the Lions lost, so then we can be in this position today.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing day to be a Bears fan. I'm elated. I'm happy about it. I was really glad to get your text. And let's see what happens next, man. I just want to hear that announcement that Chris Morgan is gone.
Yeah, that I think
It's
that's the number one thing. As long as we say
Chris.
Chris Morgan is completely gone, or I hope the reporters ask the question to Ben Johnson, "Hey, you're going to be planning on bringing your own staff. There's going to be no remnants of the staff from the previous years, correct?"
Yeah,
And as
man.
long as
Just
Ben Johnson says yes, that's the plan,
Gut
thank
Chris
God.
Morgan. And you know what? I don't like talking about being happy about somebody losing their job. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this particular position, yeah, unfortunately, I think we need somebody else in that position because it just is it's just not good. It really isn't good. They need a total overhaul of the offensive line minus Darnell Wright. And
And
they
look,
just and yes,
there's players on the market, on the free agent market, that they can, if teams are stupid enough to not re-sign them, go get them. I don't care
go
if
get
half
them.
your cap, if half the cap space, which is like $82 right now, a bit barring any like post June 1st cuts or anything else. I don't care. If you put the
Go
money in the
get your guy.
trenches, and if you pay, like, say you pay, we get a left or a right guard, pay that in the draft, or to pay that in free agency, and you want to go get a center in the draft, or actually no, you find a center, a good center that's somehow available in free agency. You pay a center, and you pay a guard. You then can maybe draft a guard in this upcoming draft, and your offensive line is solidified. I'll give Braxton Jones one more freaking year until you have to make a decision. I know,
Oh.
I know, I know. But regardless,
Um, um,
maybe give him one more year, and then you're like, okay, it's not cutting. We need to go out there and either free agency the following season, go get a left tackle, or we go
one
draft.
more year to keep them doing what? Getting bull rushed? Because that's it. Just uh,
Well,
okay.
what left tackles are available right now?
Well, I mean, I was talking about draft. I was talking about
Well,
take that first pick.
if they want to draft a left tackle, fine. You know,
I was saying take that first pick and the best tackle on the board, go get him.
yeah.
Go get him and put him on that left side. My personal opinion.
Mhm.
But I'm not in those rooms. I don't see what Braxton Jones does, between game days. So they could still be high on him. I'm just not of the mindset that whatever they were doing before, it's all of a sudden gonna change now that Ben Johnson's coaching. There are just some habits that I honestly think a new head coach just won't be able to break. And I think Braxton Jones is one of them. I would like to just cut bait or just bench him. And let's go ahead and let's get a whole new group of guys to come up in there and do it with Darnell Wright.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the number one thing. And then obviously on the opposite side of the ball, they gotta improve the trenches. They gotta get a opposite edge pass rusher. They gotta get obviously another defensive tackle in there because
Yeah,
we
maybe
don't
two.
know. Because let's be honest, Andrew Billings, he's coming off a bicep or tricep injury. Who knows how effective he is coming off that injury? You want to get a dominant
Correct.
defensive tackle, whether that's through free agency or you go get a dominant, defense. I know, if maybe it falls to them in the ninth pick, there's solid defensive tackles. The defensive tackle out of Michigan. There's another one. I forgot what school he's at, but there's another solid defensive tackle. If he falls to you, maybe it's a pick where you're like, you know what, I do want to go offensive line, but we gotta go solidify our
Correct.
interior defensive line so we can get pressure up front. So we're gonna go make
Well,
this good defensive tackle draft pick.
it's the same thing with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was your guy, go get him. Depends on who is your guy at that particular moment when that 10th pick comes up. If it's a tackle, get your guy. If it's a defensive tackle, go get your guy. You know, just,
Per,
s-
so
uh-oh, what happened?
a Raider beat reporter said, per source, Ben Johnson choosing the better overall situation, including young quarterback in place of the Bears over money the Raiders were prepared to offer. The chance to help pick the next GM and opportunity to work with Tom Brady. Do that.
There's no GM in place. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
there's no GM in place. There's no quarterback in place. And I know Tom Brady. Tom Brady used to work with Shedeur Sanders, and he speaks very highly of him.
Yeah.
But the kid is not going to be there at number 6.
No.
I can see if the Raiders had the number 1 pick overall,
Oh yeah.
and we all knew. I can see that. Then we can add 3 teams to the mix: Jaguars, Bears,
Wait,
Raiders. They got the 6th pick.
yeah,
Cam Ward and Shador Sanders are going to be gone by
they're gonna
then.
be gone. It's gonna be somebody, either one of the two are gonna get picked by the Titans, you know, and then
Yeah,
realistically, it depends on who the Titans draft. Depends on who the Titans draft. But regardless,
yeah,
those two are not getting out of the top five if any teams decide to
yeah,
pass them.
yeah. Patriots already got their quarterback,
Yeah,
so they're not drafting quarterback. The Jets aren't high enough to be in that mix.
yep,
I mean, just delusional. Raiders fans are delusional. That's one of the reasons why I don't trust them.
yeah.
I just
It's the
no,
Raiders.
man.
They haven't been good since Al Davis was alive.
Man, like, come on, man. I
So
just, mm-mm.
that's gonna be the number one thing I do on Twitter after this video. I'm gonna go on to see all these Raider fans crying and probably hate watching the Bears now because
Oh,
we.
whatever.
But yeah, look, I'm elated. I'm happy. We got the dude. He's in the building,
Yep,
obviously
yep.
barring anything that secretly comes up, but typically with these finalization deals, it's going to be a done deal.
Correct, correct.
Whatever.
Now,
So,
whether it takes 5 minutes or 5 days, they
yeah.
are finalizing a deal to make Ben
Yeah, because you got to
Johnson
get all
head
the
coach of the
contractual
Chicago
stuff
Bears.
out the way.
Correct,
You got to get
correct,
certain things, and it's simple. And that's stuff the agents got to look over in the
correct,
contract before making it
correct.
official. Official.
It's more in the hands now of Ryan Poles, whoever Ryan Poles' financial advisor is with the team,
Yeah,
and the
I think it's
agents of
Jeff
Ben
King or
Johnson.
whatever.
Jeff King, yes. It's just one of that's basically it's just ironing out, what are really minor details. But the main detail is he's about to become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears fans are elated.
Yeah,
Bear
and
down.
last thing to say is I'm happy they made this hire and not made the hire Mike McCarthy because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Mike McCarthy to me is just a safe pick to just make you win a bunch of games, but he won't take you over the top. The
Won't
reason
take
why I
you over
love
the
this
top.
move so much is even if it fails, and it will probably cost basically everybody's job here, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking a risk, and you're taking a risk that where it's like, no, we want to do this in a way where we
Yes.
see everybody in the NFL is going young offensive minded head coach. We have to do
Yes.
whatever it takes. And if we don't put our young coach in the best position to see, then that's on us and everybody gets fired.
Yes. Yes. Now the main thing is with Ben Johnson, we've already touched on a little bit about the staff. The the staff members that must take priority has got to be defensive coordinator, offensive line coach.
Offensive line.
Those two positions right there for me take priority over any other coaches he's going to bring
Yep.
in: special teams coordinator, defensive line coach, running back coach, wide receiver coach, uh, you know, quarterback coach, offensive game, passing game coordinator, or
Yep.
whatever you want to do. Defensive coordinator,
And offensive
offensive
line.
line coach. Bring those two jokers in first,
Yep.
because those were the ones. In addition to obviously offensive coordinator, but Thomas Brown did do well as offensive coordinator. But with Ben Johnson, we really won't need one, in my opinion.
No.
So those two right there are a must. First hire before any other coaches he decides to bring on board.
Only thing I also gotta say is one, I hope the Bears on their social media page they do a funny reenactment of when Caleb got trolled by that one football fan thinking it was Ben Johnson. Because if you watch the St. Brown's brother podcast, he did get freaking he got scammed. So I hope they reenact this, but it's really this time the actual Ben Johnson on the line. And then
Yeah,
also too, listen, I
yeah.
need Caleb to have his own podcast and bring on Amon Ra and be like, "Hey, man, you want to come over here? Because we got your
Yeah,
boy."
we
Because that's
got
what
your
he
boy.
said.
We got your boy now. So let's. What's about that? And again, that's the part that I'm just elated with. We are taking something from the best team in the division.
Yep.
Dan Campbell's been really good, but them core.
Let's see him without his coordinators because You know, who
Now we're
knows?
about to find out how good he's going to be without them coordinators. So let's
Yeah.
see. We talked about that a couple videos ago.
The
It hit
reports are Aaron
Philadelphia
Glenn,
really hard.
Aaron Glenn interviewing with the Jets, and who knows? That could be a done deal.
Could be, but they were also talking about New Orleans. They're also talking
Well,
about other.
actually, New Orleans said their two top leading candidates are Anthony Weaver and Mike Kafka.
And see, that's why they're gonna suck next year.
Now they still got McCarthy out there.
That's why they're gonna suck. But I get why they want to. I get why they're looking at offensive head coaches though,
Oh
because
my
New
God.
Orleans
Here,
New
here we
Orleans
go.
have had it.
Chase Daniels. Everything about this hire screams Caleb Williams. The last few weeks, Chase Daniels is talking about the Bears should hire Mike McCarthy. That's their best possible candidate. I know Dan Orlovsky's probably somewhere crying because he's upset that his Lions are going to probably be trash soon.
I'm sorry. Uh, Chase Daniel, wasn't he a piss poor backup quarterback
Yeah.
for
He,
a
he, he was one of the
lot?
few people saying in the media the Bears should just go hire Mike McCarthy. He'd be best for them. And then he would have been the same person to be on social media if the Bears did do that. He'd be like, why would the Bears hire Mike McCarthy? That's a
I
stupid.
don't, I don't, I don't. Honestly, I don't listen to Chase Daniel.
I
I
don't listen
really
to Dan
don't.
Orlovsky either.
Yeah, I gotta admit, it's just for me, it's just simple haterade, and you're gonna find out it's even more haterade the more and more. Why else would Ben Johnson take the damn job? It just come on, Chase. Come on, dude. Why else would he take the job? And since you're gonna mention that, what job should he have taken? It's just haterade 100%. Orlovsky, because obviously he's a Detroit dude.
Yeah.
Daniels, ex-Bear, probably played with half the teams in the league. Just haterade, man. It's just simple haterade. But you know what? It's gonna work out for the Bears, and they can keep hating, and we'll be giving them the proverbial middle finger.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here. I'll probably have some follow-up videos regarding this news, but I'm excited. Anyways, till then, guys, catch you guys in the video, and we'll see you guys on the next Bears video. Peace.